July 21st, 2017. Today is the day to harvest our garlic. It's the first crop of garlic I've raised in a number of years, probably 4 or 5 now, that I've been successful on. I did make a try previous year or the year before, but I just wasn't able to stay on top of weeds and mulch and all, and ended up losing that crop. But this crop is doing really well. I ordered the seed for this garlic from a place called Piedmonte Farms in upstate New York, and they carry some excellent garlic, and they have a mass garlic growing operation, and they're really friendly, nice people. So if you end up needing garlic seed and you're in our latitude area, it's a good place to get it from. It's acclimatized, actually a little colder climate than where I live here. Anyway, I'm going to be harvesting the garlic today. Signs that it's ready is these yellowing tips going down. That says it's going into dry down part of growing. Basically, they're going into senescence, and those bulbs underneath would split, and become a garlic plant next year. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and harvest this stuff, but before I do, let me just pull one of these out and let you have a look. I pulled one last night as a test, and it was beautiful, so I'm hoping for the same results. And here we are. Look at that. Let's see what we got here for reference. A hat. There you go. So yeah, it looks like we had a nice successful garlic season this year. I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff harvested out, and we'll hang it upside down and let it dry and cure. And I'll try and get you a shot when I'm done harvesting. And so here we are, all harvested out. Only lost one to rot. So I'll show you that quick here. Just that guy there. And the other thing I wanted to show you was the umbrels that I trimmed off earlier in the season turn into these. Basically, they flower, and then each of these little bulbule things, see if I can, each of these round little guys, like that one that just fell into my hand, there you go, they're all falling out, actually will become a new garlic plant. The thing is, these aren't, see, garlic is typically propagated by scion. In other words, you clone vegetative material to a new plant, be it by splitting the cloves or by taking a cutting and rooting it. Typically it is not propagated sexually. The reason for that is it takes about 3 years for one of these to become a full-size garlic clove, or a full-size garlic root with many cloves, like these. Anyway, I just thought I would share that with you, in case you're unaware. I'm pretty happy. I know this is a very small planting this year. I think I ordered 5 pounds back in the fall, and I know I didn't get mulch down early enough to protect them all, so we lost a few to the winter. Also, I had put mulch down right before the major cold spell, and then the wind came along and blew it off on a lot of them for me, so that's why you saw how patchy the survival rate was. There was good spots and bad spots. That was because of the mulch getting blown. Anyway, good harvest. I'm very happy, very satisfied for what we had here. Some of these are nice large heads, and sorry, that's my friend on the radio. These are nice large heads for the most part. Not all of them are. You never seem to get all large heads, but very good. I'm very happy. And I will definitely be replanting this fall and propagating out and developing more. For every one of these that you harvest, there's usually between 6 and 10 cloves in it, and each of those cloves can be used as a seed for a new garlic plant. So basically each one of these large ones represents between 6 and 10 new plants for next year, which will produce cloves like this again. You always want to select the larger cloves, or the larger garlic, and so I'll go through and I'll pick out stuff like this for growing for next year, and the smaller stuff I'll use this year. for cooking food, or maybe I'll make a nice batch of salsa or something. Tomatoes and peppers are doing really well this year. Speaking of that, I want to take you down and show you those real quick. But before I do, let me just show you the corn. There's 4 plantings of corn here. You can see our last planting, the 4th one on the bottom there. It's just up not too long ago. Still little seedling sized plants basically. And then the planting previous to that is up to a pretty good size. The one beyond that is even larger. And the one beyond that, as you can see, is starting to tassel out. So we're going to have sweet corn here in probably another 3 weeks or so, maybe 4, maybe a little less. We'll see. But so they're growing really well. Been an excellent grow season so far. We've had good sun and nice timely rains, about 1.5 inches of rain every 5 to 7 days, which has been ideal. I haven't had to do a whole lot of irrigation, except occasionally for establishment or where I'm doing a nutrient injection. Anyway, I did want to show you the tomatoes, and there's a couple of spares that I had left over from the rows, and these are kimchi peppers that I got going. Pretty excited about those. We're going to make kimchi this year with fresh cabbage and peppers and all right from the farm here. Some of the rhubarb came through a little sparser than I wanted. I didn't get mulch on fast enough and probably didn't water quite enough, but that's how things go. Purple coneflower is doing good. Lots of pollinators in there. See a lot of bumblebees in there today. Later in the summer we usually see quite a few orange, I don't know if they're a butterfly or a moth. They look like a monarch butterfly, but maybe half or a third the size. Beautiful. Anyway, those are doing good. Potatoes we're fighting potato bugs. I put down some E-Scent Shield and some heavy feeds, and I'm kind of waiting to see how that makes out. We will get a harvest this year, I just don't know how big it'll be. But either way, that soil is really being improved through the mulching and nutrition and all. So either way, next year this will be a better plot for whatever goes in here. Maybe I'll put garlic in here next year. Give those potato bugs a little dose. Popcorn is up here. Excuse me. I think it's been about 4 days it's up now. I know it's due for a 9-day foliar feed fairly soon, so that's doing well. I opted not to put the last 5-row block in here, and instead I'm going to make 8 rows of cabbage. So I'll be planting that sometime soon. Anyway, the main reason I brought you down here was to show you tomatoes and peppers. And I know my friend Dave and I were talking about my trellis support system, and I was explaining it to him. But here you go, Dave. Here's a good shot of what it is. And basically 2 posts and a wire down each side. And I use these tomato clips to clip the plants up to the guides. And actually probably later tonight I'm going to come back and go up another foot or so above the other wire and run another wire string, and we'll keep clipping off as we go up until we get up to the top of the post, which I think is around 7 or 8 foot off the ground. I believe these are all cherry tomatoes in here. I think they're, I could be wrong, but I think they're indigo cherry, which is like a purple cherry. But they could be the red cherries. I haven't gone back and dug up my tag labels. When I plant into these rows, I always forget about how much mulch and other stuff will be on top of them, and I put the tag right at the base of the plant, mostly so it won't get lost. So if I really do need to know a variety, I can pull it up. But it's a lot of digging, and I don't much feel like it. And I know the variety will show itself out as they ripen. We'll know exactly what they are. Anyway, peppers are doing good as well. I believe this row of peppers is King Arthur's, although it could be jalapenos. Actually, I think this is the jalapenos. All different types of tomatoes and peppers and stuff all through here. You can see these tomato plants are really robust, doing really well. Tons and tons of flower and fruit coming on. It's going to be a rocking season this year. Everything is very happy. Yeah, these are looking really nice, and I know there's some peppers coming on some of these pepper plants. Yeah, there we go. There's the peppers coming on, and more flowers and more peppers. And one of the things I really wanted to point out here was just how healthy these tomatoes are. Peppers too, but the tomatoes, you can really see it. Look how thick and hairy the stem is. You see all those little hairs? That's a really good sign. That's a very happy, healthy tomato plant. And really thick, robust stems. They're standing up nice and straight. And you can see that these stakes that I've set in here aren't even going to begin to do the job of supporting these. I believe these are the beefsteak tomatoes, because that looks like a beefsteak right there developing to me. And if that's the case, those fruits are probably going to be a pound or more each, and I'm sure there'll be a good number of them, enough to collapse any of these stakes. So I'll have to go back and build something similar to this to handle the weight of the fruit that these will put on. What else? Let's see. There's some basil in between, a few that survived. They're doing really well. It's delicious. I had a salad made of basil and fresh green pepper and cucumber the other night. It was fantastic. Anyway, pardon me, I just couldn't help but get a snack of that. Anyway, things are doing really well. Growing like crazy. Healthy, happy plants. You can see I gotta get back in here and mulch some more. And actually just look at the health difference between the stuff that's not mulched as well and the stuff that is. And that right there should tell you so much. These are a couple more plantings of cabbage down here. And one more thing I wanted to point out. I think I mentioned this in one of the other videos, but I just want to say that this upper row is the row that had wood chips in it. And you can see how much nitrogen that robbed, how much lighter green those plants are than those plants, and how much less robust growth there is on them. So unless your wood chips are rainbow wood chips, and they're better off put down in the fall, even if they are, I would recommend you keep wood chips out of your garden space unless you do some heavy compensation for nitrogen. And I would suggest that you really need to know what you're doing in order to do that. I'm pretty proficient. I really do know my stuff, but at the same time, this is kind of a test and kind of a, oh, the heck with it, let's try it. And this for me is a great example and a great learning experience for me, an opportunity to actually personally study and analyze what many other people have told me about wood chips and how they can be detrimental. And this is a fantastic example. So we got wood chips as a mulch in this row. Granted, these are different varieties of tomatoes, but nonetheless, these would be much darker and much more robust. And then over here you got leaf mulch and grass mulch as a mulch. And there's a very strikingly clear difference between the two. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Well, I almost forgot. Well, I did forget, but then I remembered. I wanted to show you the blue corn and the Big Max pumpkins lot. This stuff is just blowing up, man. They are growing like crazy. The pumpkins were all trying to head off this way toward the roadway, so I had to go and adjust them back. And they were wrapping around some of the corn plants and pulling them down. And yeah, they're very happy, healthy plants. And I think it's going to be a fantastic season, barring any major incidents or accidents. The blue corn is doing really well. That's had its 9 and 14-day foliar feeds. I've also fed it a couple other times in between just to keep it on full acceleration. This is generation 3, I believe, in high nutrition, or maybe 4. I really have to look. But I just thought I would show how things are doing and how things are growing. They're doing really well. And you can see a lot of this buckwheat actually came back and is flowering out now. After I tilled it under for the planting. So that actually worked out really well. That'll make a nice secondary cover crop underneath, and probably will reseed. I don't know if that'll make it back up before fall, and end up being a fall green crop, or if it will come back up in the spring and be a spring green crop. But either way, it's a great filler, both currently and for later, in under this corn lot, and it'll make an excellent self-seeding cover crop. So we're on our way in a good direction as far as cover cropping goes, and I'm very happy with it. Anyway, I've got some hand pollination to do on these pumpkins, so I can carry some seeds forward and start selecting for the bigger, better pumpkins. Anyway, I just didn't want to miss sharing this at this stage, because from here out things grow really rapidly, and it'll be hard for me to keep up on getting shots of it with the camera before we reach the end of the season. Anyway, thanks again for watching the Farmacy Seeds Network, and hope you have a fantastic afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on when you're watching this. Hope you'll like or subscribe if you like or want to subscribe, and hope you'll come back and check out more of our videos. Have a fantastic day.